What's happening, party people? In today's episode of Hanging Out with Robert, it's about a week's worth of footage. I was mainly working on that yellow car. Had a couple of good, friends, customers in Vegas needed some help. So I went out there for 2 days, took care of a bunch of stuff for them, and got right back. I left on a Wednesday, got back on like a Friday or something like that, late Friday night. And man, got a lot of stuff done. Went to the junkyard a couple times. Just kept running into weird obstacles on the project car. So that's what's in here. I did do a brake booster on a '01 V70 cross country. So that was kind of a new thing for a video. And man, I'm starting to find struts just locked up on these cars. So if you blow out your spring seats, you probably need to be ready to replace struts. Now, when you're driving these vehicles, these Volvos, and every little bump feels like you hit a curb, you need struts. So be prepared for that. Those struts are just not absorbing the bumps like it should. Now, this is not a video designed to show you step-by-step instructions. I normally have those videos, if I reference that kind of job, linked in the description area below. Now, for some reason, you need to contact me, you need some help, you got a question or something like that, you can get my contact information off of the end of the video. And as always, man, I appreciate everybody's support. I appreciate those that support me financially through membership here on YouTube, on Patreon, and people that just send me random donations. I get people that contact me, send me text messages, and call me, and it's always kind of refreshing when they, toss me a bone after they get their questions answered and stuff like that. I had a lady in the New York area, man. She must have called me, man, a dozen times. And when she realized that there's no way I could give her a real 30 or 90 day or year warranty on her vehicle, she just canceled me, which was fine. If, there's no way I could really warranty my work. So I got to pretty much make sure I do it right. I tell people I'm not really excited about warranties. I'm excited about parts that last and people doing things right. You normally don't need a warranty when that happens, but being a traveling mechanic, there's no way I could do a $200 job fixing an oil leak on your car and then leave your area and have that thing start leaking and you come back. I did have a situation like that one time where a guy contacted me. He thought that the water pipe on the back of his engine was leaking that goes onto the engine behind the water pump. I got there. That was not it. His water pump was leaking. I replaced his water pump. I left. A week later, he called me back and claimed that pipe was leaking, that I should have replaced it. I asked him to send me pictures. He didn't. I went down there. The thermostat was leaking. So, I do my best to make sure I'm doing things that I'm competent at doing. I do them right. So, that's why I have my world-class 38-minute warranty. We need to check it out, make sure it's good before I leave, because when I leave, it's really not convenient or affordable to come back and take care of yourself. I'm going to check out for now. I appreciate you watching. Hope you're having a great day. Welcome to Hanging Out with Robert, that's me. This video contains things that I encounter throughout the day. If for some reason I complete a task and you would like to see the details, you could click on the link in the description area below. This video also contains tips and tricks that I learned throughout the years. I plan on leaving this video accessible for about 30 days. After that, you can view it through my Patreon account. Thank you very much for watching. Time to get with it. Clocking back in on this 850. Man, I don't know how hard it is to get a anti-sway bar in here, but I'm gonna check that out. It didn't have one installed right now, so I might have to drop that rear subframe down, which never fun, but gotta do what you gotta do. So let me tidy up this inside and then get to work on the outside, because I still didn't put the final touches on the inside. Headed to the junkyard and actually got a hunger pain hit me before I hit the junkyard, and I went to a gas station to grab a snack. Seen this food truck behind the gas station, so called Gino's. Make me a plate. I'm about to hit this. I got a steak sandwich from him. He actually let me sample the meat. I love steak sandwiches, man. That's probably not good, but looks like it's got some juices on there and the peppers and all that stuff. So I'm about to hit this. And I don't think it's a Philly cheesesteak, but it's a steak sandwich nonetheless. I'm trying to pick it up without dropping everything on the ground. It's hot. And I never really considered eating from food trucks until I started following somebody on TikTok that's got a food truck. Bread's got kind of a crisp on it. Nice. Nice and hot. That's got a lot of flavor in it, man. Peppers, onions, steak meat. Yeah, I might be back for some more of this. Back at the house, I got some hardware for this anti-sway bar in the rear. And man, I'm going to try to get this in before it starts raining. I'd rather keep these T-5R wagons on the road. If I had to guess, there's probably less than 30 of them on the road. This is black. I have a guy coming in from out of state. I don't know if he's planning on trailering it home or driving it home, but I want to make sure it's ready to be driven if that's what he wants to do. He's about 5 hours away. I guess probably about 400 miles. So I checked all the tire pressure, made sure they were aired up. Needs the threshold trim all three places except this one spot here. So I'll make sure I get those parts put in here, and this car will be on its way Tuesday. I'm probably going to take my plate off of this car, so I need to make sure that the person is going to get a permit to drive, either from Ohio or Pennsylvania. I'll contact him right now and ask him about that. So there you have it. And if somebody's coming in from out of town, and there's a chance that, or they're going to pick up the car. Had a car ready to be picked up. I've arrived at places where I went to pick up the car. When I got there, they knew I was coming from several hours out of state. All the tires are flat, car in the ditch, you know, not able to be moved. You know, that's, I mean, you don't have to make sure they can get the car. That's on them, but it sure is helpful. Friendly, neighborly thing to do. So that's where we're at. Let me close this up, put a couple of parts back here, and have this thing ready to roll. Time to get cracking. To my surprise, man, there's a lot of stuff missing from this car. Transmission, AC lines, exhaust, all kind of stuff. So I got to figure this out and get this car back together. I think I'm going to go ahead and replace the engine mounts. And once I get the engine mounts replaced, 1, 2, 3 of them, I'm going to go ahead and drop the engine in here and work everything else around the engine. They even cut the hose that goes on top of the dryer. Freaking crazy. Man, this sucks. So, let me get cracking, because I got a lot of cracking to do. I don't know if they busted this firewall junction or not, but I hope not. Well, I need to make a salvage yard run, because I got to get these AC hoses that was cut out of there. That AC hose, I'm probably going to replace that dryer. So in the meantime, I'm going to get this anti-sway bar installed in here. Not sure if I got to drop the subframe for that or not. I also see the heat shield is missing from this firewall, which to me is an important thing to have. So I got to run and get one of those. Looks like they painted this firewall for some reason. I'm not sure why they would have done that. It's just strange stuff going on here. I got overwhelmed, decided to go have breakfast. I'm back. Let me get back on this car here. So I got me a notepad. I'm gonna make some notes of parts I need to go get from the salvage yard, and I'm about to install this anti-sway bar. So let me do that before I do anything else, and then get to work on some of this other stuff. Looks like I have to drop this subframe to get this anti-sway bar in. I also need to find some power steering lines for this thing. They're totally missing. Since this piece out here is such a pain in the butt to get loose and get back in, I took the inside of it loose. Now I'm going to lower the subframe enough to get this anti-sway bar in here. Since the engine's out, it should be easy for me to get the power steering lines installed, so I'll keep that in mind as well. Here we are, folks, the new IPD anti-sway bar bushings, polyurethane. They wear out, at my experience, every 50,000 miles, so be prepared for that every 4 years or so. I had to find some bolts to mount the anti-sway bar because those are nowhere to be found. So let me get that mounted. I got the anti-sway bar installed. I need to torque these bolts to 37 foot-pounds. And then I noticed the charcoal canister is missing, and the vacuum line that wraps around to it. The whole thing keeps on giving. We got the 2 engine mounts installed. I had to find the mount that I had for over there. I got it close, brand new. And I need to run to the salvage yard and to storage. Got to get a heat shield and some other things. We're going to shut it down for lunch and the junkyard run. Here at the salvage yard, time to get the parts we need. Whoop, whoop. Canisters are different type, couldn't use that. The lines for the steering rack are rusted on, can't use that. The heat shield for the firewall is different. We need to get one from a turbo car, can't use that. So we're out of here. We're gonna go check another car somewhere. Hey, how you doing, man? Yeah, it's fine. Kicking off the Tinker Day. Sending PR on its way to a new home and a new mission. What's happening, party people? I am back at this V70R. Now, I had one video actually go viral. Out of all 62,000 of my videos, one went viral, and it was the one talking about what you should not do when you come to the junkyard. And by far, the most common comment was, how do you know they broke that window at the junkyard? Well, let me tell you something. I got about 8 videos of this car with no broken windows. We had a broken window here and a broken window there, and glass all in between. Now, why did somebody find the need to break this window? Beyond me, but they do it. So, yeah, they break it at the junkyard. Thank you very much. Have a great day. But besides that, we are here to get some parts for this project that we're working on. That, guess what? We can't get nowhere else. And that is this firewall heat shield. Man, can't get it, and nobody else has it. You got to get it from a turbo P80. So we're going to take this heat shield, try to get these power steering lines. Man, they look a little cruddy, but it's hard to find these lines anywhere else. And fortunate for me, I didn't damage these when I removed the engine. Look a little rusty. I don't know if I could get it off of that steering rack, but we're going to give that a try. So let me get busy so we can get out of here. 4:42, I think it closes at 5. We got everything we need.
we are out. I just noticed this. A lot of you guys, this thing broken. These are nice to have. Controls your tilt wheel. And this car still has an R cluster. Nobody wanted to buy that, huh? Let me tell you guys something. I've had several R bumpers repaired and painted. And by far, this one is the best. The little chips, the scratches, the dings. I've never had one this smooth. Now, if I had to guess, I'd say this thing might be a shade lighter. But being that it's going to be separated by that bumper piece, that black bumper piece, I don't think it'll matter. I put this thing on lemonade and drive down the road like I own the road. Let me tell you something. This thing is beautiful. Beautiful. The best there ever was. And here we are, folks. Las Vegas, Nevada. Glamorous airport.
Please dial 3177 on an airport courtesy phone.
Uber Lyft area. Out here. Uh-oh, the heat. Southwest down there. The strip down there. Here in Las Vegas. Had to come in. He's got both his vehicles down, so we're going to get this thing on the road because this is my specialty. It'll be easy. In one day, out the next. So let me go ahead. We're going to do a timing belt, cam seals, that kind of stuff on this vehicle. Let's get cracking. And here it is, folks. The cam seal is all the way out. So we're going to do cam seal. And I knocked the gear loose. And I believe we're going to go ahead and do the timing belt as well. Let me see what date's on this water pump. And keep it moving. So it is 95 degrees, and that's where I got this thing adjusted to. Let me roll it over a couple times and see where the timing marks land. I put that timing belt stuff together, just replacing that one seal for now. I'm gonna leak check it, make sure it doesn't leak, because I got other stuff going on. I'm replacing the struts, and you can see the spring seats are totally torn out all the way around on this. And that usually happens when the struts go bad. They quit moving and it starts destroying your spring seats. So these are probably original. They kind of look like they've been replaced once, but they say Volvo, they're probably original. I got Volvo for it, so no big deal. And of course the bump stops are destroyed. Springs are usually good. This is why I do it this way, replace the struts, the bump stop, and the spring seats, and reuse most of the other stuff. But now I'm starting to see on every car the bearings are messed up. So those are probably every 20 years replace that. See how the lip of that is sticking up? So I'm gonna start keeping those on order as well for cars that stuff is original. Here's a new strut. You pull it all the way up, you let it go, and it sinks back down into the assembly. Slowly but surely. Brand new. I think it's a Volvo. Yeah, it's a Volvo Sax. As you can see, it's still going down nice and slow. Now I'm going to show you what happens to the old ones that are worn out. The old ones that are worn out, you pull it up and it doesn't go down at all. It just sits there, not moving. You could push it down. Oh, this one you can't even push down. This strut is locked up. Man, that one is really bad. So, anyway, that's why we're here. Strut's locked up. And that's the bump stop destroyed, and this is a new one. So that strut didn't go all the way down, but it went most of the way down. Probably 3/4 of the way down. So I'm putting it back together. All right, I got this strut together. I think I had to torque these top bolts right here. And I'm gonna go start this car, watch this timing belt go, make sure I don't have any oil leaks. So let me do that, torque this so I don't forget. Fire the engine up, leak check. It's rolling, and it is dry. I was worried that this VVT hub would be leaking, but it's dry as well. So much oil was slinging off this front cam with that seal out, it was just going everywhere. So I should be good to go. All done with the white V70 for now. Patient number 2, heater core and a brake booster. Woo woo, first thing in the morning. Rolling that sucker right in there. On my way to do some
In 800
work.
feet, turn left onto 5 Pennies Lane.
Got about a half mile from my destination. The coolant system burped. Do me a low coolant.
Turn
pump.
left onto 5 Pennies Lane.
You've got to be extra careful with that. Watch your temp, but if you don't know your coolant system burped, just shut the engine off, top it off, see if you see
In
a
800 feet, your destination will be on the right.
see if you see a massive leak, and shut that thing down. If you do not want to drive this car nowhere with that low coolant light on. That is nothing but a low coolant light, nothing else. So with the engine running, you ease this cap off, fill up your bottle. I put a little bit more than I normally do because it's burping, and then put your cap back on. Then you cut your engine off. Kicking off the Tinker Day. This thing has a bad brake booster. You know it because when you are driving and you hit the brake, you get a big hiss. So I don't know if you'll hear it with the car not running. Nope, nice and hard when the car's not running. But when the car's running, you hit the brake, you hear a big hiss. You hear that? And when you hold the brake, you can hear the air escape. So we're going to replace the brake booster on this one. This also has a leaking heater core, so we're going to do that as well. First thing you want to do is disconnect the battery. Some of the stuff you disconnect under the hood is electrical sensitive. So you go to the back of the car, disconnect the ground on the battery. I don't know if I got room to open up this rear hatch all the way. Yep, I do. Open up the rear hatch. Pull up this panel here. The battery's under the panel. Disconnect the ground. So here's the part. We got new bolts for these two studs that your brake master cylinder bolts to. You get your vacuum line. You get your pressure switch. All that comes with it. This goes to the firewall. You get a gasket and the rod that goes out there. So it's ATE, probably original, that made it for the vehicle. You also have the two nuts and the gasket in there. So I think we got the right part. Let me get this other box out of the way so I can disconnect the battery. So to disconnect the battery, you lift up the floor, hold that up. This one has the tray under there. Some of them are missing. So you undo this little turn screw thing here. Get that up. Do the same on the other side. Lift this up out of the way. And then you see your battery there. You got a thing protecting the battery. So you take those two nuts there loose. They look like 13s. Lift that up out of the way. Pick this plastic cover up that shields the battery, and then disconnect the ground under it. You can also take the flaps of that and open them up, set them on the side so that panel holds itself up while you take this thing out. If your battery securing thing is put in properly, You got two 13s there. I took them loose. And then you got a 12mm bolt down here. So you need to take that out. Put those where you won't lose them. Lift that up and out of the way. Lift this up and off your battery. Now you have a 10mm that's holding your battery on. And you could remove the battery. Or in my case, just disconnect the ground so you could work under the engine compartment and not have to worry about powering something. If you're working on this vehicle, you should know the braking system is different in a lot of these cars. Some of these cars have I think it's a DTSC system, and some of them don't. This is a plain one. It does not. You would have a button here that said DTSC, I believe it is. The part number for these brake boosters are different in those, and you have more brake lines to dilly-dally around with, stuff like that. So next I'm gonna pop the hood, open the hood, and you can verify your part number and what type of system you have under here as well, of not having that button in there. Let's see here. So this is the brake booster. That's the part number. That part number will tell you. So this one is the STC system, and like I said, the other one is a DTSC system, something like that, or maybe DSTC. Anyway, it has a D in it, but that's the part number for it. And we're going to go ahead and pull this thing out, get it replaced, and go from there. Now, a lot of people like to remove this mount. I'm not sure if that's necessary, but what we are going to do to start off is we're going to remove the air box. So you have this tube here. Some of these tubes have a screw or two in there. You pull this tube off the air box, you unplug the mass airflow sensor, you pull this line off of there, take the whole air box out. I don't see anything bolting the air box in. Then you got to remove the fuse panel. You got a screw under here. Unscrew that wire, take those wires loose, then unplug the entire fuse box, lift it up out of the way. I'm also going to remove this support bar. This has a 15 on one side, 18 on the other side, and these 14s here. I've seen people remove that. I don't do that. Just remove these bolts here, 14 or 13 on both sides. Lift that bar up and out of the way. I'm gonna do that first. We already disconnected the battery, so we don't have any electrical concerns here. So take this bolt entirely out, and then again, those two on this side, two on the other side bolts, so you can remove this bar. So these bolts are really tight. Normally when you have tight bolts, I'll break the bolts loose with a big tool if I have a smaller power tool to take them out. I really don't like banging up my small tools, so I break it loose, then I spin them out with the power tool. I lift that up, set it out of the way. If I'm going to be putting it back together same day, I just normally set the hardware aside. If I'm not putting it together same day, it's going to be another day. I normally set this hardware back in the holes. Pull the air box vent off of here. Get that out of the way. Unplug the mass airflow sensor, push down on that tab, pull it out, take that loose, and you should be able to get the entire box out. Lift it up and out of the way. You want to be careful not to damage any vacuum lines. Lift those off. And if you have problems pulling this hose off of here, you might have to unclip the box and lift the top up and pry it off of this tube here. I hold the box, hold the tube, and just twist it and pry it off. this massages out of here. Be careful you don't destroy your clips. Take the fuse box off. You push the tab on this side and that side's broken. Set it out of the way. You have a 10 millimeter there. You may have one somewhere else, but you undo that 13, undo that 10. See if you can lift it up, and you undo this plug right here. Push in that little tab, undo that plug, and you should be able to lift this up and out of the way. After I got this cable up, I see a 10 millimeter down there, so I took that bolt out. I'm gonna fish it out with a magnet, and then I pull it off to the side, and it looks like it'll slide toward the passenger side and slide this grommet out of this bracket here. Let me see. Yep. Now the wire's attached there with this zip tie. You can cut the zip tie if you want. And I'm just going to spin it out of the way. I'm not going to remove the whole thing because I don't think it needs to be removed totally, because there's a wire harness going into the bottom of it, and I don't think disconnecting this side of it is as easy as disconnecting that side of it. So I cut the wire tie because those are cheap and easy to replace. You can slide that out of there. You can hold this out of the way when you're ready. Now next, you need to unplug these two plugs. One from the level sensor, the other one from the pressure valve. I don't know if you need to remove those right now. That pressure valve right now, you could do that when you get the booster out, because the booster comes out this way. But I am trying to move this wire harness out of the way. Next, you could remove your vacuum hose there. That thing is actually installed with an Oaklear clamp. Pull that off. And then you need to disconnect the lines from this thing. You want to put something under there to catch brake fluid, because brake fluid is corrosive. It's horrible for painted surfaces. It's just not something you want on your paint or running down your car. Put something under the car to catch whatever you can't up here with any kind of container you want to use. So let me do that. I'm going to disconnect the vacuum hose, and then I'm going to disconnect these two lines. And I don't know if I need to remove this whole controller contraption, but I may have to do that, unfortunately. Before you disconnect your vacuum and stuff from this booster thing, you can go inside, pump the brakes a few times to relieve any vacuum pressure. I tried to get the line loose from the connector. The connector came out. I did hear a suction, no big deal. I'm going to take these two lines and remove them totally off. It's a 13 millimeter flare nut. Best to use flare nuts on brake stuff. And getting them totally out of the way should give me room to slide this booster out and remove it without removing this, but we'll see what happens. This is a flare wrench specially designed to get those type of lines off. Basically, it'll grab on to every side of that nut and not just like an open-end wrench that'll only grab hold to two sides of it. So you got a better chance of breaking that thing loose without stripping it. Let me go ahead and get those loose. I have those two lines removed. Like I said, if you have the other system, you may have more lines. This thing is going to have to come out probably about 5 or 6 inches. I don't know if it'll clear this or not, but hey, we're going to give it a try. I got the line sitting there, some fluid cloth towels under it to catch more fluid. So now I'm going to go on the inside and do what we need to do in there. So you come in here, and first thing you need to do is pull this panel down here so you can access the brake booster bolts that hold it to the firewall and disconnect the line. So you got a T25 here, T25 there. And I don't know if that'll come down without you removing this. So you may have to remove this panel here first, which it has two little, I guess, twist things off of it. You can see them if you look down there. You can see one of them. There may be two. You turn that with a coin, you slide that out, and then you take these two screws out, drop this down. But I'm gonna try to drop it down and leave that there. I was able to get this down, removing those two screws, and it should have 3 pressure tabs that you could use a trim clip puller or a bone tool. Pop this down, unhook it from the front of that, and get it out of the way. Now, I also need to do this heater core. So I should have put those lines in position to get the heater core out. Lucky for me, they are in proper position. You can see the coolant leaking out of the heater core there. So that's leaking down onto this carpet, and this carpet is wet. So you see my dry hands, now my wet hands. So I do need to put something down there so I don't get wet while I'm doing this. So if you look up here, you see the little clip ring that attaches the brake booster to the brake pedal arm. So you pull that clip out of there and you disconnect that rod. And then you can look up in there and find the 4 bolts that bolt the brake booster to the firewall. Now, if you want, you can remove the bolt out of this joint to try to move this swivel out of your way a little bit, but it's really not that necessary. You can see the 2 13s there, and then the 2 13s right above it. Get you a deep 13, remove those all the way, and then you can go outside and massage that off, because I already unhooked it from the brake lever. And I also removed the brake light switch because I'm planning to do this heater core, so I got to remove this trim piece as well. And unplug the brake light switch so that the brake lights don't come on while you got the brake pedal lever disconnected. So unplug it, your brake lights will not come on. I have all 4 bolts off of the brake booster. Again, the arm is disconnected. I'm gonna see if I can slide it out from the firewall. It's falling away from the firewall about 1.5 inches, and it's already against this, so that's probably not gonna work, but let's see if we can massage this thing out far enough to get it out. Get it out. Ooh. It's pushing on my turbo tube as well. Let me use 2 hands. I probably could have muscled it out, but I don't want to do that. So I'm gonna take these 2 10mm bolts loose, unhook that from, I take the 2 outer ones out and loosen the middle one. Drop that. It should drop down far enough for me to get that out of there without muscling it. Taking that loose, let it drop about 1 inch, maybe 2. So I should be able to pull that out now. Yes, there it is. Now I got to transfer this brake master cylinder over to the new one. It's got a seal in there, and I got new bolts. So let me do that. These should be 13s. Well, this is the seal. It flattened out and got deformed, and this is the new seal. So you want to clean this off, put this on there, attach it to that. You don't want to get no dirt in there, so make sure you try to keep that clean. That seal fits in there like that. Put it in the right orientation and bolt that thing in there. I guess you could put it in upside down, but we won't do that. And torque these bolts, I would say 20 foot-pounds. I got all 4 of those bolts tight. I can hook this lever up now, but I'm not. I'm gonna go outside and do the rest of the stuff outside, short of bleeding it, and then get this heater core out and replaced. I need to find some hose pinchers to do that. Hooked up that vacuum hose. I'll put the harness back over here, I'm gonna plug in these two sensors. Now I'm gonna hook this back where it goes, put those 2 bolts back on it, and then I'm gonna hook the line up there, tighten it. I'm gonna snug the lines here, and then I'm gonna bleed the unit here. Whenever you hook these lines up, you gotta start them in by hand. You cannot cross thread these things or they will be damaged and you'll be messed up. You'll be chasing them and stuff like that. So start them in by finger, start the other end in by finger, tighten one slowly. If it feels like it's binding, back up, start over. Same here. I did the same thing here. Started them in by hand, and then I'm gonna snug this side and I'm gonna tighten this side and I'm gonna bleed it here, and then whatever air is left in there will bleed through the system somehow. But we do have to bleed the system. These are compression fittings, so they're tight, but they're not very tight. They're hard to get off because they've been on so long. So don't over tighten them. You don't want to strip the threads on this, cause a leak, stuff like that. So like I said, I got those 2 tight, these snug. When I'm ready, I'm gonna fill up the reservoir and then bleed it and then go from there. The heater core out, I'm gonna seal up the new one like this and push it in there. Let's get cracking. All right, we're gonna bleed this line here. So I'm gonna put this paper towel under these and we'll bleed both of them. Use this paper towel to catch it, and you could put a canister or more paper towel under it. Not good to run all that fluid on your ABS module, but we gotta bleed it somehow. I got some help there. I got a little fluid out of that one. Twice and hold it. All right. We get another napkin. No evidence of leak after bleeding them. The vacuum hose is hooked up. These 2 sensors are plugged in. Put these 2 screws in this box. Putting the fuse box back together. Putting a zip tie there. And just finished putting it together. Lunch time is over and I'm back. I checked the S70 and man, it's got a blown strut mount too. So they're contemplating getting a strut mount for that from the dealer, which is kind of expensive. I'm gonna back this truck up some more, but man, let me tell you something. When this front tire hit that little bump there, it sounded like I was running over some metal pieces of some sort. But anyway, I'm gonna back this up another foot just in case I have to close this door for some reason. And I guess I got a foot to go back here, so let me do that and rip into this. So this car has a strut mount totally blown out. This thing is banging and all kind of stuff. I'm surprised it hadn't reached this hood, but that's kind of high. That thing would have to come up real high to. This one over here is blown out as well. So maybe I'll tell him to get 2 of those things. Now, my buddy thought that the driver's side was the only side that was busted, but the passenger side is too. But this driver's side, man, it's making some weird, strange noises. So we have a control arm for this side too. So I'm gonna jack it up, pull the wheel, take the control arm loose, take the strut out, pull the control arm, put the control arm back in. I have a new strut and everything to rebuild this passenger side. So we'll rebuild this passenger side. And I think he's going to stop by the dealer and grab a strut mount for the driver's side, even though he doesn't have a strut and all those things. And that S70 out there with the A-crate grill, it's got a strut mount blown out on that as well on the driver's side. I really can't tell the passenger side. It just doesn't seem like it's put together right. But anyway, we are getting to work on this. Let's do it. We are all done with this one. Got the strut mount done, tools cleaned up, ready to call it a night. Kicking off the Tinker Day in the happiest place on earth. Like a shopping mall out here. Supposed to be a set of jewels out here, an ABS module. We'll see what else we can get into. Well, now that I know that their inventory is messed up, looks like that similar stupid one that I had. This was not on their inventory. I can't even tell if it's the right headlight. If it is, it's destroyed. Okay then, let's keep looking. Looks like an 850 with a XC front end. Sheesh. That's an S70. This thing is, I don't know if I've ever seen an S70 this color. I don't know if I got torque bits here. Didn't look like I brought torque bits. Aight. Bingo, we got action. Another set of jewels. They don't even look busted. We are back here at this V70. We're about to change the wiper blades, and it looks like this hood is just a little bit out of adjustment. And I noticed that the wiper blade arm is bumping the hood, so I'm going to try to bend that down just a little bit so it can clear that hood. And these wiper arms are normally not a problem, so we go back here. We have a couple of clips missing from this trim here. I picked up a few from the salvage yard, so we're going to get that secured so that it's not rattling when he drives. So let me get to work on that and get this stuff taken care of. Getting hot out here in Vegas, and there's some parts for me. Well, I read the codes, and we have a couple of codes we need to take care of here, and we're going to clear the service light on this thing as well. Here we have it. Got those two vehicles taken care of, and I am on my way back home. And as it would happen, we are walking on the tarmac, I guess they call it here in Denver. Denver is good for putting people out on the ground and loading them on the plane the crazy way instead of pulling a plane up to the terminal. That's weird for a airliner, especially in Denver, as cold as it gets. So let's get on the plane. Yes, sir. Headed back home. 2 quick days in Vegas. Took care of a couple of customers. And, hey, calling it a quick trip. Help some folks out. Glad to be able to do it. Yep. Well, folks, time to get back on it. I think I now have all the parts for it except for the upper torque mount, firewall mount. I don't know what's going on with that. That's really weird. But it has the screws missing from here, holding this front clip on. I have no idea why somebody removed those, but it is what it is. First thing I'm gonna do is put this firewall on, then I'm gonna hook up the power steering line. So I gotta drop the subframe, which is already down a little bit, lower it a little bit more, get those power steering lines installed, and go from there. Let's get cracking. Yay, I got the heat shield in. Need to screw that pipe back on. I can do that after the engine's in. Should be easy. Maybe not. I'm gonna get it on now. I got the power steering lines in. The fuel lines are there. I'm gonna deal with this AC dryer. I'm gonna put a new one in, put the part on that. Then I'm gonna drop the engine in because the engine mounts and stuff are in place and all the lines and everything are where I need them to be. Let me deal with this AC dryer. I'm gonna look and see if I have an orifice to put in this AC line before I put this engine in. So I had to disconnect this AC line right there. And this is the tool to do it. Should take 30 seconds. Ended up taking me 5 minutes. I had to crawl in this hole and use the right size. The size is like the right side one, not the other one, which I think is the pressure line. So anyway, we got that out, and we're going to change this dryer, see if I can get this line. Well, I don't even have to get that line off of there because it's destroyed. So let me go find the line that I got from the salvage yard and prep it. I got 2 of them. One of them stuck and one of them's not. This looks like the newer of the 2. It's actually got a Volvo part number on it and a date of 97, so I guess that's not a new one. That's an original one. To whatever car I got that off of, 98 V70R. It was stuck on there. I'm gonna spray it a little bit, see if I get it off. I'm not gonna fight it long. And this is the other one that I pulled from a 97 850. It came right off, so that might be the smarter of the choice. Anyway, let me go grab the dryer and swap this bracket over to there and snap that thing on. All right, we got the new dryer on here. I'm gonna actually drop the engine in before I plug this in. And on the engine, I'm gonna make sure I install the AC compressor before I drop it in as well. So let me get that engine ready to drop in, get that compressor on it, on the bracket, and go from there. Man, I hope that firewall junction is in good shape. It would suck if that's busted. I'm also going to vacuum this out. Putting on some new PCV parts. You got to use Volvo for that stuff. And here's the AC compressor with, I don't know if they were good intentions or not, but they cut both of those AC hoses. So I'm going to go ahead and remove them, put the bolts in the holes, mount it on the engine, and then mount the other accessories on here and get ready to lower this thing to the ground so we could do the rear mainsail and mount the transmission. If you made it this far, I trust that you found some information that was either useful or entertaining, so go ahead and hit the like button. And if you would like notification of future videos that I post, please subscribe to the channel. I appreciate your support. You can follow me on other social media apps by looking for @RobertDIY. Some form of that should bring up the other channels that I have on places like Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, and so forth. If for some reason you need some more personal help, go to my website at robertdiy.com and use the phone number that I have posted there to send me a text message, or you can email me. If you have questions or comments, please make a comment below. And if you'd like to make some kind of financial contribution to what I got going on here, go to my channel and hit the more link at the end of the introduction statement, and it'll show you different ways that you can support me financially. Again, thanks for watching. I hope you have a great day.